Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the English satsang of Vitrak Vignan. Pultaji, can you do two mantra? Kashyap, please follow.
Namo Vitragay.
Namo Vitragay.
Namo Arihantanam.
Namo Arihantanam.
Namo Siddhanam.
Namo Siddhanam.
Namo Ayariyanam.
Namo Ayariyanam.
Namo Vasayanam.
Namo Vasayanam.
Namo Loe Savasam.
Namo Loe Sava Sahunam.
Eso Panchana Mukkaro.
Eso Panchana Mukkaro.
Savabhava Panasano.
Savabhava Panasano.
Manglanam cha Savesim.
Mangalanam cha Sabvesim.
Padamam Havai Mangalam.
Padmam Havai Mangalam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand, everybody. So, we will start with Kashyap question.
Yes, I'm sending to posters.
Okay.
Jai Satchidanand, everyone. Jai Satchidanand, Pulinanaji, Ratniji.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai
Yes.
Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand, Deepakanand. So, can Deepakanand please bring the posters?
You're mute, Deepakanand.
आज क्या बढ़वा मन का लोभ.
मान का लोभ कब कहलाता है?
Okay.
निंदा करने का उससे. So the pride, please translate it.
Good morning, Gopala Krishnan. Welcome.
Satchidanand. Jai
Jai
Satchidanand.
Satchidanand.
ओके. मान का लोभ कब कहलाता है कि दूसरों की निंदा करने का उसे समय मिले. So if I may translate this in English, the lobh means greed, or for man means pride, the desire to have more and more of pride or people praising you or giving you respect, so it's more like in the respect category, man. So the enhanced desire to have more and more of pride, when is it called? Man ka lobh kab kehlata hai? When can we say that the enhanced desire to have more of respect or pride, that when दूसरों की निंदा करने का उसे समय मिलता है, when he has the time or he gets the time to criticize others.
Yes, please explain this.
So when a person is criticizing others, so one of the reasons or symptoms behind that is that he is not getting the amount of respect that he is supposed to get. So, and when others are getting the respect, so he feels bad within, or he wants more of it. So when others are getting, so he tries to criticize others, find their shortcomings, so that he gets greater respect, so that he gets more of respect is the right word right now. Man is pride, but then it's not the pride, it's the respect category. The reference is respect over here. So when a person has a great desire that he should not lose his respect in the eyes of whomsoever he is in contact with, the people, the close people he's in contact with, when he has that enhanced desire, he has a tendency to criticize others or run down others. When you try to run down others, it means
Why when someone has desire for pride, then they respect, then they try to run down others?
So that the attention that is going to others does not go away and it remains focused towards him.
Okay. In frustration also, maybe they are doing like that.
Yeah. I mean, people are respecting you, but then if they stop respecting you and they start respecting somebody else, then there's a tendency that you criticize them and run them down so that your is not lost. Once the respect towards oneself is not lost. But if that is, if a person is greedy, that he wants more or does not want to lose the respect he has got, if he doesn't mind that, then he will not have that tendency to criticize others.
Okay, I understood. Rajniji, can I ask one more if it is?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, the next one, please. Dharyu karvavu e moti bhul kehvaye, ketli कोट खादी त्यारी ध्यारू थाय. This also please translate and explain.
ધાર્યું કરાવવું એ મોટી ભૂલ કહેવાય, બ્લન્ડર. કેટલી કોટ ખાધી ત્યારે ધાર્યું થાય. ધાર્યું કરાવવું એ મોટી ભૂલ કહેવાય. એનું ધાર્યું કરાવવું એની to manipulate people or situations to get one's thing done, to get favorable opinion or the activities or some work done according to one's own desire. You know, a person may want to go out, others in the family are not willing to go out, and he will manipulate and tell them the advantages of going out. So he you know, in getting things done according to one's own wishes. Dharyu karao means to getting things done according to one's wishes or what he wants things to be done. Now that is what khadi tyare dharyu thai. You will lose a lot in doing so. In manipulating people's mind or situations, you will project only those aspects of the event or activity that you want to do get done. If I want to get something done, then I will project only those part of the activities, showing the plus points of it or the advantages of doing such a thing.
Ketli koat khadi means what they are saying to say?
Loss. One suffers a huge amount of loss.
When they do this expectation.
When they manipulate people to get things done their way.
So there is a huge loss that time.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it's a very big thing. You see, when we manipulate to get things done our way, in that process, we may not be honest. We may be lying. We may be only revealing the facts favorable to the situation and suppressing the facts which are not favorable to the situation. So that is called kapat or deceit. Now,
so they are saying we have to suffer a huge loss, then we can get things according to our desires done. That is what they are saying.
So in the process of getting things done your way, you will suffer a huge loss. That is what this sutra is trying to say.
So can you give an example? How is this one example so it will elucidate how it happens like that?
If I want to go for a movie, for example, or I want to go for an outing, and I tell my family or friends that come on, let's go there. They are saying no, we are tired, this is that. Then I say no, what a wonderful movie, that person said this, that person said that, or such a nice beautiful place, you'll enjoy, this is great. I just do blah 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 and show the activity. Now I know that I'm overdoing it. I know it may not be true, but I'm manipulating. So first loss is I may be not saying the truth, or I may be saying the partial truth. So that is the loss number one. Loss number two, I may be forcing someone to do something in his way. People may take me on faith. Yes, if he is saying it must be right. So on face value, people will come, but then they will not enjoy or they will not like it. So later on, they will feel, "Arey, yaar, what is this?" So whatever suffering they will undergo, just because I painted a rosy picture, that suffering will ultimately reflect on me. Whatever suffering we cause to others will lead to suffering for our own selves, you see. So that is the loss number 2.
Suffering means the immediate
Dukh.
suffering or by karma.
No, it'll come as a reaction later on to us by
As a
way of
reaction.
karma.
In this lifetime?
Yeah, generally in this lifetime.
Okay.
Generally speaking, yes. Then number 3, what happens is that supposing you succeed in the manipulation, will follow your way, then the ego will get elevated. See how I got my way, how I got things done my way or got what I wanted to do. So an elevated ego of that type and deriving happiness from it. When one derives happiness from it, what will happen is it will be motivated to do more of the same. It will be motivated to do more. So next time also, it may lead to a situation where he will feel, yes, if I have to get things done, let me manipulate. So the tendency to manipulate will get nourishment or will get a boost, which is extremely detrimental in one's own path of salvation and also detrimental in worldly life. Because after some time, maybe a little long time, people will come to know you that, oh, this man, he talks like this, but it's not always right. In that context, I remember one saying that you can fool some people all the time.
All the time.
You can fool all the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. So this fooling around, cheating, manipulation, whatever we call, after some time we opened up. People will realize that, oh, this is the trait of this person, and in the process he will lose what Vishwas, the trust. He will lose the trust. When the person who is doing this manipulation, he will lose the trust of people. So these are the various drawbacks or the loss one will have to encounter or suffer when he tries to do. That is why Dada Bhagwan in this aphorism or sutra says that Dharyu Karavai Moti Bhul. Because one believes that I am the doer, you see. Frankly speaking, he has manipulated, but so these are the various losses and it can lead to further losses. That's the essence of this.
Thank you very much. It's very clear. Thank you.
Yeah, but also the Pulitanji, in these cases are many places prevalent, like in the house, father, mother, husband, wife, in the office. So this is.
Yes, it is very common in daily life. It is very common. That is exactly, it's very common.
Yeah.
And it's not the right forum to say, but sometimes there are some prakrutis. Sometimes there are some prakrutis which have this inbuilt, somebody's natural trait. They don't even realize it's harmful, but then that Dada Bhagwan has cautioned again that kapat or deceit. Dada Bhagwan has cautioned.
This is a kind of kapat, deceit. This is a kind of deceit.
Yes. To get things your way.
Yeah.
To get things one's way, one will have to recede to deceit. He will definitely have to recede to deceit. And that is the loss or a major loss.
So we have to analyze ourselves and then we have to rectify that.
You may adopt honest means of persuasion to get things your way by showing the advantages in a fair way, which does not hurt or harm others' viewpoint or others' interests. So fair persuasion is allowed. Manipulation is extremely detrimental. That's why Dharyu, and that is the losses. That's where the losses.
Thank you. Yes,
Hey, Satchidanand. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I had a question.
Oh, good, mate. Go ahead.
Jai Sachidanand Pulinanji.
Yes, Satya.
I wanted to ask, you know how we all have that voice inside of our head? Can you explain what that voice is?
Voice inside our head, what does it do or say? Can you just elaborate? Which voice are you referring to?
Like let's say when we're reading a book, right? We have the voice inside our head that's also reading at the same time, like the words out loud.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question very clearly. Voice inside a head means what exactly are you trying to refer to?
I'm just asking, like, what is that voice? Like, you know, when we like read a book or read something, we have a voice inside of our head that reads the words out loud inside, right?
Reads inside.
Yeah.
Sort
like
of
sometimes
a intuition that
No, I don't-
comes in your mind.
Yeah.
Intuition is something very different. That is a very good thing. If a person has a good quality of intuition, it guides him in taking quality decisions. Voice inside the head, it could be the voice of the mind which says do this, or it could be the voice of the intellect which says, "Arey, don't do this. There is loss in this," or it shows a profit and loss. Typically, two things keep popping in our minds, so to say. It is really antaskaran. But either it is the intellect, the buddhi, which is constantly hammering us, "Arey, you're making a wrong decision or a loss," or it's the mind which also plays its part. The third way, if I may, I'm just trying to expand on whatever you said. The third thing is called Lepaiman Bhav, or things which engulf us, thoughts which engulf us. Someone may have said something nasty to us. Now he has gone away, we have separated, but still, those whatever he has spoken will keep lingering on us. It like an echo. It'll keep coming and coming. Why he said like this? What he thinks about himself? That echo is something which engulfs our attention and our consciousness. That is a thing. There's also one inner voice, if I may say so. It could be detrimental. If someone said good and we're elevated, then the good thoughts also keep coming. So those engulfing phenomena, engulfing Lepaiman Bhav or engulfing Bhav, if I may say so, it can be by our mind, by speech, and by action also. Supposing we are walking and we get hurt, our foot is badly bruised or something, then that keep lingering. So by bodily means, by speech, or even just by the thought level also, things keep engulfing our attention and we are not able to move. So that it could be one inner voice that you are trying to refer to. There are various types of, such things do not allow us to remain in the present moment. The drawback or the disadvantage of such things is we are not able to remain in the present. Whatever activities we are doing, we are not able to concentrate on that. And those things engulf us.
Mm-hmm.
So those things need to be broken. That chain of thoughts or the chain of feelings or emotions that are erupting among us have to be broken by whatever means. We may do some proper chanting of "I am the pure soul," or "I am of a source of infinite knowledge, Anand Gnan Walo Chu, Anand Darshan Walo Chu," or by even say Kirtan Bhakti, saying Jai Jaikar Ho Dada Bhagwana, or maybe by singing Pad. So there are ways by which we can break that chain of inner voice or inner thought and release ourselves from it. Also, sometimes
Like, for example,
a wrong thing that we may be doing, we may have seen something which we should not be seeing, and then that photo keeps coming across us. So then we have to break that also. So there are various triggering points, if I may say so. There are various triggers which may prevent us from remaining in the present, prevent us from being happy, if I may say so. Sometimes, some people say, this man is not in the right mood. He feels depressed or something, you know. So that such type of things have a person to feel slightly unhappy. So those are things which Dada Bhagwan has called in Gujarati, he calls it Lepaiman Bhav, engulfing, engulfing thoughts, if I may just put it, which is one thing, is a source of Purusharth. We can work on it, and he has shown various ways. Or if ultimately you can even say, get out, go to the, or you can say, go to Dada, the bad such thought sequences. And we can release ourselves from that engulfing situation.
Okay. So like I had one example I wanted to ask about, right? So let's say I'm writing an exam, right? And during the exam, I get thoughts of like, okay, now write this, now write this, now write this. So is that the intellect?
That it could be intellect, it could be intuition also.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's our intuition which helps us or guides us that now do this, do this, do this, do this. It could be the result, it could be intuition number one. Intuition really plays a part, you know, when one is confused and does not know what to do. Supposing, taking your own example of writing an examination, and you are stuck, you know, whether I should attempt this question or that question, or how to proceed further. So in that time, intuition helps, oh, take this first. It's an insight, if I may call it. So the example that you quoted, where it says, do this, or write this, it can be a result of your preparation also.
Mhm.
While you are studying at home and you have prepared, so you know the sequence by way you have to solve that particular problem. So maybe it's a recall from the memory which is guiding you. Now do this, do this, do this, do this. So depending on the case-to-case basis, it could be either your memory aiding you at that point of time. It could be your intellect, which may also say, attempt this question first because that is easy, you know it. You attempt the difficult question later on. It could be a clear intellect which shows the benefits of proceeding with the examination. And it could be pure intuition. Sometimes that comes as a flash. It could be a combination. It could be either of the three.
So how can we identify what exactly, like which exact part is going on inside? How do we identify that?
Oh, well, irrespective of identifying, all I would say is, if it is helping you, if
Mhm.
it is keeping you calm, you know, then it is fine.
Okay.
Typically, Viparit Buddhi, or you know, the improper intellect, that causes confusion. I should do this or I should do that, you know. So if it became making you emotional or getting confused, then that is the undesired intellect. So you may just put it whether it is helping me or not helping me, rather than go to. It is possible to identify, but then it will take little time. Typically, Suj, or the insight, or what we call as intuition, that operates when not in such stressful conditions, but when we are at in any condition, and then we pause for a moment and just think it over, and then you get a flash.
Yeah.
That, okay, do this. And to identify that, in that, one of the things I have observed is that when that intuition pops up, you feel very comfortable at the heart level. At the heart level, you feel very cool, relaxed. A sort of conviction builds up. Yes, this is in my best interest. This decision is in my best interest.
Mhm.
Typically, this is the way intuition works. When you're really in a suffocation mode, you know,
Yeah.
sort of to say, when you're on the thorns of a dilemma, you know, torn between two things at that time. And sometimes mental chatter also is there, you know, and unnecessary mental chatter also is there. not related to any event or nothing has happened, but cutter, putter, chalte rehte.
Yeah.
So that is a lack of focus of this thing. So we must break over this thing. There's an inner voice or something called as antarvacha also.
Mhm.
That is the intellect speaking or the mind speaking and just keeping popping up and popping up and popping. Supposing someone has said something to you, a nasty thing, supposing, and then you separate it and then you try to forget it, but you're at home and then you're sleeping and you can't sleep, and that thing comes, I will show him, I will do that, this should be done, I will not do that, this should do. Now, those type of thing could be that in English I've got useless chatter or mental chatter, but in Gujarati it's also called as antarvacha,
Mhm.
inner voice, as you had said. That's inner speech. Speech, as revealed by Dada Bhagwan, two forms. One is the external speech, which everybody can listen to, and one is the inner speech, which only we can listen to. You know, the constant thing that keeps loosely, if I may say, the mental chatter. Cutter, putter, cutter, putter. Or is I will do this, I will do that, I should do this, what are the things? We may not physically say it, but inside I will do this, I will do that, what he thinks about himself, or some grand good things also. But that is a inner voice or inner speech, if I may say so, antarvacha.
So let's say I get some kind of bad thought, or my intellect shows me something that's not good for me, right? And then there's going to be that other inner voice that's going to oppose that, right? What is that?
That is a good just thing. You see, one is a series of thoughts or some thoughts which are not in our best interest. The intellectual says it not, but you still feel like doing it.
Mhm.
One thought process says do it, and one says don't do it. Now that don't do it, if we have taken gnan, if you have self-realized, then it is the voice of the prajna.
Mhm.
The voice of the prajna, it typically it will alert people. It will alert them against any wrongdoing which is the prakriti is inclined to do. Our mind, body, speech, our prakriti, that if it is committing an error or making a mistake, then it will warn or caution, hey, this is wrong, this is wrong. Then that is the voice of prajna. And sometimes it can be in the absence of prajna, it can be the voice of the intellect. Or our, if a person has not taken gnan, if I may say so, sometimes it is the suj, or what is loosely called in worldly parlance is my conscience bites me, my conscience does not allow me to do, worldly. So that is suj or real insight.
Mhm.
Darshan Shakti or the Darshan Gnan, knowledge, and what will you call Darshan? That is the Darshan Shakti of the soul, which everybody has brought.
Vision.
Srinanji, it is called
Vision.
spiritually. It is typically said vision power.
Vision power. Vision. So because I've experienced that when I had not taken Gnan, and I know people also call my conscience does not permit me. That a voice of conscience is a vision power, which is always correct and in the best interest. And this vision power, Dada Bhagwan says, every living creature has, every living creature. Darek Jima Suj ho, every living creature has that. Suj is something which guides it towards its own safety or towards what is in well-being or interest. Am I audible? I call it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
Fine.
Somehow it
Okay.
went mute, but it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, supposing it is a dog or a cow, there is garbage, food littered on the road. So they will go, they will smell, and they will eat only what is appropriate. They will not eat what is not appropriate. So that is this thing, every
Yeah.
living being has. So by attending satsangs and spiritual gatherings, we first thing get the right knowledge, and the harmful buddhi, if I may so, viparit buddhi, we get a means by which we can overcome that harmful buddhi's saying. Does it wrongly. So knowledge of this type from spiritual masters just guide us and prevents us from the listening to this viparit buddhi. And gradually that intellect, the unhealthy intellect, if I may say so, it will gradually transform and become helpful intellect, samyak buddhi or helpful intellect. So basically, satsang is trying to manage our own self.
Yeah.
It's managing Prakriti, or in our parlance, file number 1, and essentially managing our own mind, intellect, the antaskaran, mind, the intellect, the chitta or consciousness. It's managing those. Once you're able to manage that, then the external behavior is automatically managed.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand. Okay, Gopala Krishnan.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
I'm a novice to this group, so I want to know more about Dada Bhagwan. I'm particularly interested in knowing about Akram Path, the Atmanyan, and also the 5 cardinal principles, the Agnas, which Dada Bhagwan has taught, and also about Jnana Vidhi, how to achieve it, and how it can destroy the forms of karma.
Okay.
I read from the book, Who Am I?
Who am I? Okay. You see, basically, this is a path of self-realization, realizing who we truly are. That I am Krishna or I am Pulinanand is the name given to the body. In the otherwise, by wrong belief, we believe I am the body or I am Pulin. Dada Bhagwan says, you are not the body, you are separate from the body. Your true self is the pure soul. And knowing that our true identity is the Akram path. Akram means stepless path. Akram means stepless.
Okay.
You directly realize yourself vis-a-vis the Kramic path or the step-by-step path. In the step-by-step path, you slowly reduce the inner enemies like anger, pride, deceit. You resolve them slowly, something in this birth, then in the next birth, then in the next birth. So there is a step-by-step path to self-realization. Now, this is a stepless or a lift path. You enter the lift or elevator and you straightly reach the 12th floor. Why? Because we have an enlightened spiritual master who has realized himself, who is in that state of being constantly and has the power to make others realize themselves. So it is a path of divine grace, grace of our enlightened spiritual masters. So that is why it is called Akram, that with his grace, we will first realize who we really are. We get the experience, realize and experience. On paper, theoretically, everyone knows we are the soul. But what is soul? To experience that, it's a matter of experience. Like everyone says, sugar is sweet. But what is sweet? Now you cannot describe sweetness. You can only give an analogy. It is sweet like mango. It is sweet like sugar. But the moment I put a piece of sugar in the mouth, you know what sweetness is. In a similar manner, Dada Bhagwan says, the moment I give you this experience, then you will know what soul is. What is the true nature of soul in terms of bliss, in terms of separation from the body, So this Akram path is really a path to realize our own selves with the help of an enlightened spiritual master. By divine grace, one will come to know who one is. The result is that once we realize who we are, then the doership goes away. Today, there is a doership that I am Krishna, I do this, I did that. And then what will happen is we will realize we are not the body, we are the pure soul. And when we realize that we are the pure soul, then obviously we are not the doer. Because so activities will continue. Those activities will be done by the body. But I am not doing that is the realization one will have. One will realize the activities are being done by this body, mind, speech, who is separate, who is like a neighbor to me, and I am the observer of this mind, body, speech. So we will come into that state of awareness. We will come into that state. I am the observer of the body. Means body means mind, speech, body, and the entire thing. And will be at immense peace, because what is ego? Ego is the wrong belief that I am the body, that I am the name bearer, whatever my name may be, that I am Sunil, I am Pulin, whatever. That belief is ego. And as long as there, it will say, I did this, he did that. The doership will be there. And if someone says anything nasty, then you will get hurt also. You will get hurt and you will get happiness also. So now, when you separate from the body, that you are anchored in your true self or the pure soul, what happens is, whatever happens to the body, you remain its observer. It is as if it is happening to a neighbor. So the effect will not be there so much. Otherwise, previously someone had said, you are a fool, and you heard, how you call me fool? Now he has called fool, but he has called fool to the body or the name. And you will be observing it. So the sufferings dramatically reduce. Dramatic, because you are a mute observer to the happenings to the mind, body, speech. By Akram Vignan, first thing is we realize our own self. Then we cease to be the doer, because the activities is mind, body, speech, is charged karmas, which are now being discharged or playing out. The thoughts come, we don't think. Good and bad both come. Speech is played out. We have no control on the speech. Even actions or events take place. We have limited control over that. So we become an observer. We cease to be a doer. So we also cease to form new karmas. New karmas are formed when there is a doer of the karma. Supposing I give the donation or charity, then I have donated. That I feeling that ego is there, then you will form punya karma or a good karma. Or if I may happen to hurt someone, then I will form a partner, because I am the doer. But when that I goes in the true self, that no, I am the pure soul, then doership goes away. Doership of the activity goes away. And when the doership goes away, new karmas do not form. They cease to form. So the biggest advantage of this is the ego goes away, the wrong belief that I am the name bearer. When that goes away, what happens is we cease to form new karmas. Hence, over a period of time, whatever karmas that we have charged in the previous birth will get exhausted or played out in this birth. If some remain, then in the next birth or so. So in a few births, all the karmas will get exhausted and we will be liberated. Liberated from the cycles of birth and death. That is what moksha is about. To remain in a state of permanent bliss, to be free from the cycles of birth and death. So in Akram Vignan, by the help of a divine enlightened master, we realize ourselves, we cease to be the doer, the new karmas start forming, we are relatively unaffected by the happenings, good or bad, that happen to the body. So we are able to remain in a more equanimous or balanced state. Because anything good happens, we can see, oh, that is the result of good karma. Anything bad happens, that is the result of pap karma. So we're able to take things lightly and more equanimously, not get too involved. Or if something very good happens, we get elevated. Something very good happens, we get depressed. That both extremes will reduce or diminish gradually. So we remain in a very equanimous state or a vitrag state. And our worldly, the biggest advantage of Akram Vignan is that we do not have to renounce the world. We do not have to renounce the worldly life. We remain in this worldly life as a householder, carry out our duties as a family member, carry out duties of earning money by salary or by job or business. Fulfilling all our worldly duties, we can remain separate from the body and be in a state of bliss. The advantage of that will be that our interaction with people will be more balanced and equanimous. Our tendency to hurt or retaliate with people, if someone has hurt us, we try to retaliate or revenge, that will diminish drastically. So people will feel good. Oh, you have changed. What happened to you? No, nothing has happened. My understanding or my vision of my own self has changed. Earlier, my vision or belief was that I am the body. Now, my belief and vision is that I am the soul. So our human interactions will be very smooth and in the path of moksha. Otherwise, in the step-by-step path, what one has to renounce the world, because one has to be free from worldly attachments. Only when one is free from worldly attachments will he be more focused on his own self. Here, we do not have to give up any of those. We do not have to give up. Dada Bhagwan himself was a householder. He did a contract business. He was in construction line. And still, he was remaining in a state of enlightenment and could give that enlightenment to thousands of people, you see. So this is the another unique feature of Akram Vignan, where you do not give up household life, carry on your duties, and in fact, your duties will be able to carry it out much better. So we attain the vision of the self, we start our inner bliss, we don't give up anything, and gradually progress towards liberation. This is in a nutshell what is Akram Vignan. And that 5 agnas that you said was, that is after the enlightenment procedure, what we call as Gnan Vidhi or Samarpan Vidhi. So it is about a 2-hour process by which in which one gets the vision or one gets the experience that he is separate from the body. And after that, how to lead the normal life now? With what understanding should I do the worldly life? Those are explained in those 5 agnas or 5 dictates. It is basically a way of now living life. Earlier, I lived a life that I am so and so, and he or she is my wife, my son, etc. Then the new vision will be, no, I am the pure soul, and others are also pure soul. We get a new vision. But earlier the vision was that I am the doer. I did this and I did that, or he did this, and then the new vision will come. Nobody is an independent doer. Circumstances come together and event takes place. Then square up all accounts that you have brought with people. Don't get stuck anywhere in rag or dvesh, in abhorrence or in attachment. That will erupt. That the body, it will erupt from the body. The mind will have likes and dislikes, but do not get stuck in that. That would be one of the way of doing it. I mean, I'm just summarizing very briefly what those things are basically, and then continue to remain in your pure soul. Do something for yourself. So far, we have been doing for our worldly life, our materialistic life. Then the new vision will be also do something so that you enhance your soul awareness. The Jagrati, that awareness of that I am the pure soul, do something for the pure soul awareness, because this is we get by divine grace. It is not earned by us. So we need to protect it for some time, nourish it for some time, it becomes very big. Okay. So I'm not elaborating, but just a brief glimpse that it's a new way of living life. Those are the 5 agnas. So this is what Akram Vignan is, what are the advantages and what are the 5 dictates. I suppose
Can we say it's conscious living, distancing ourselves from our body and trying to observe the world and react to it?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is conscious living, true conscious living. He will get the true conscious.
Okay. Okay.
And living a very conscious life. by remaining separate from the body.
Okay, what sadhanas we have to do for that?
No sadhana. You have to do one thing, a deep and an intent desire that I want to attain or I want to get this realization. If you pray to whichever God you pray, or if you believe little bit in Dada Bhagwan, just say every day, at least once in a day, oh Dada Bhagwan, wonderful science, I want to get it. Your inner intent, a deep inner intent will bring a situation by which you will get it. There is no, and at all, if at all you want to do, yes.
The video is getting frozen.
Sorry, Maro awaj band.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You are
Voice is
audible.
breaking.
Okay. So if at all, till you get.
Gopal Krishnan, you are muted. Please unmute.
I can't. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
No, his voice is getting broken and video is freezing. Maybe too much of bandwidth. I closed my video.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
So now basically, if at all you want to do something, till you get this divine vision, there are 5 small prayers that the Bhagwan has suggested, which you may do so right now. We will see how it can be put across to you. Basically reciting 3 types of mantras, then paying obeisance. Number 2 is paying obeisance to all enlightened spiritual masters all over the cosmos or Brahman. And then the third is doing 9 kalmas or 9 diamonds, small desires of purifying the body. The fourth is, prayer to our pure soul, where if we have made any mistakes, we can apologize in front of him, confess in front of him, apologize and repent. And the 5th is chanting Dada Bhagwan Asim Jaikaro, or chanting the glory of the inner soul or Dada Bhagwan. So these are 5 prayers. The detailing I just briefly summarized. Detailing we'll see how it can come to you. So that will be very useful. You may, whatever spiritual practices, if at all you're doing now, whatever mantra or meditation or whatever you're doing, you may continue, but please add this to it. It'll take 15-20 minutes and it will help you a lot. It will work as a preparatory ground so that whenever you get this thing, it'll do very good results. But there's strong inner desire, and the 2 put together, you will come into a situation where you'll be able to get it. These are in Chennai, but you can just keep in touch.
Yeah, I say the Tri Mantra every day. I participate in the satsang in the morning at 6:30, and I don't say the Navkalamo. I don't know that. So the other ones, maybe if someone sends me, then I will be able to learn that and practice that.
No, sure. I'm sure. Deepak, please be in touch with Deepak Anandji. He will organize to send you this thing, and it will be a wonderful thing. And be in touch with him or anybody, so that if required, we can guide you further and answer your queries also. And the desire, whenever that thing is there, if you can come down to Gujarat or somewhere, then that will also be very useful for that brief, ceremony, if I may say so, Gnan Vidhi.
Okay.
The initiation process, the initiation to one's own inner self.
Okay.
The desire will generate situations where you will get it.
Yeah. Can you tell me more about Pratiti?
Pratiti means, the changing of our belief system. When, if I may give a very small example, supposing a man is a smoker, is a chain smoker, and he develops some lungs problem and all that, and someone tells him, if you give up smoking, it'll be very useful for your health. And then he will give him example. See, person so and so was doing this, he reduced his smoking, then his health improved. and he'll give many case studies of that type. By listening, first thing that will happen is his pratiti or his belief will change. He will feel, yes, I think there is an advantage in giving up smoking. This change of belief is the first step. Then he will give up smoking on and off. He may not do it on a constant basis, but for a few days that he has given up smoking, he will feel really good. Oh, that's very nice. I feel great, So that is called laksh, or this thing, sort of experience. And then ultimately he will give up totally. So then that is come into action, It is come into action. So anubhav, laksh, pratiti, laksh, and anubhav are the ultimate experience. So pratiti is basically a change or transformation of our beliefs or our vision. So the first thing, the biggest thing that we get in this initiation ceremony or Gnan Vidhi is that our belief changes irrevocably. I mean, we are dead, by experience, you are 100% convinced, yes, I am the pure soul, and this is the nature of pure soul. Pratiti means to change the belief system. Okay.
Thank you. Really appreciate.
It's wonderful. It's
Okay.
very nice, Mr. Krishnan. You see, just before we go to the next question, one phenomena is there in this worldly life. Anyone who desires something, nature generally fulfills that. It could be worldly matters, it could be spiritual matters. If you are strong and intent on something, nature will fulfill that. Nature will fulfill that. So please continue.
Yeah, I'm experiencing it already.
Very nice, very nice.
In fact,
See,
I just
in Chennai, where this Akram Vignan, where you got the book and see. So this is
to tell you the story, I told Deepak Anandji, I'm a part of a naturopathy group where Kashyap is also there. So in his introductory message, he had just added 2 words, thanks to Dada Bhagwan at the bottom. So I said, what is this he is saying, thanks to Dada Bhagwan? I immediately, like Google search Dada Bhagwan and then got to know more details. So I went further into it. Then I called him up and spoke to him. And then he was good enough to share the details with me. He sent the PDF of the books. I took printout of the books and started reading them from end to end. So completely they took notes. They realized what it is and appreciated whatever is told there. And then I got in touch with Deepak Anandji and then got more clarification. And that's how I am into this now.
Very, very nice. Now you see, this is not your quest of this birth. You have been into it since many times. And in this birth also, you must be in this quest, spiritual quest, since many years. So nature has guided you and brought to you towards the real source where you will fulfill your desire of experiencing your pure self. This is how nature
I'm looking
works.
for that. In fact,
Yes.
that has been my search for all the time. So I hope that I'm in the right place to understand better.
Very nice to meet you. And
Yes.
I hope you all the best, that we all
thank you.
progress and we progress in the mark of moksha.
Thank you. Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand. Thank you, Gopala Krishnan. And also, one thing that our song has started, that Aptaputas are giving the Samarpa Vidhi from time to time. So, we will let you know where and what.
Sure. Today, Kashyap messaged me
Yeah.
saying that the program is there at 6:30. I said, okay, let me join in and then do that. So if you could also keep me posted, I would appreciate it.
No, for Samarpa Vidhi, the one that Gnan is one that our Aptaputa has just started. So right now, because of COVID, there's no schedule yet. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Umesh Bhai?
स्वामी जी प्रणाम, सब महात्मा को प्रणाम. स्वामी जी प्रणाम.
Jai
जय सच्चिदानंद. जय सच्चिदानंद. Swami ji, would it be, from what you were saying just now, would it be correct to understand that the essence of karma does not lie in the action per se, but it lies in the sense of ownership and doership which works behind that karma, number one. And number two, following from the first point, number two, that would it be correct to understand that because of the first point, the essence of karma doesn't lie in the action per se, but in the intention behind that action, because doership and ownership is a part of the intention. So would all this be correct in terms of understanding? I just want to validate this. That's all.
Yeah. You see, karma typically people feel that the action is karma. Actually, it's not the action. The karma is the intent. Not the intent, but the belief, you know. The doership belief. The doership is it lays the cause or the seeds of the karma. The karma formation is at that level, the bhav level, you know, or the very loosely bhav. There's no proper word, but a sort of desire type of thing. I want to do this, I want to do that, you know. So in the ignorant state, that ego does that bhav, and that is where the cause of the karma is. The action, and then that results into action in the next birth. Whatever causes, supposing I want to donate or be helpful to needy people, is the bhav that I do in this birth. That the karma, truly speaking, the bhav karma, the causal karma is there, and then it will result into effect karma, or the effect in terms of action in the next birth, where I will physically be doing charity or donation. So that action, people mistake it for karma. Actually, it is the effect of the.
It is the effect of the karma. Very right.
In worldly life, what happens is, so Dada Bhagwana says, one is the bhav, then that is the effect, and the third is the effect of the effect. By giving donation and charity, what will happen is, I will earn some fame, or some people will praise me. So that is the effect of the doing of the charity. Karma phal parinam, as it is called it. So in what has happened in worldly life, in Kramik Marg, that I did charity and that I got fame. They relate that to karma and karma phal. That today charity was karma and the phal. But truly speaking, in the eyes of the spiritual masters and vitrags, the bhav is the cause, the action is the effect.
Action is the effect.
And number two, to your second part of your question, intent is the biggest thing, you see. Charity, but with what intention? To earn fame, or really for the welfare of people? Do I want to give a silent and a hidden donation, or do I want to announce it to the people just I've donated? So intentions play a very big part.
Very right. So Swamiji, would it be correct to say, from the perspective of the wrong belief, intention is made up of three things. One is the ownership belief, doership belief, and third, the intention per se. Like you said, that the intention could be to do good to somebody, or it could be to get fame, name, and all those things. So basically, intention is made up of three things in terms of the wrong belief system. But when we shift to the right belief system, means all this is just gone. All that remains is that whatever is happening now is just the effect of whatever has been sowed in the past as the bhav karma. Am I correct?
Actually, I just missed your last sentence, you know. Can you please repeat that? Because
no.
See, basically, don't go too much into it. Intention is this thing. Basically, karmas are formed when the wrong belief is there. Short and simple.
Exactly. That is what I'm asking.
As long as I'm the doer, new karmas be formed, whether good or bad.
Very right.
And then the quality of that karma will depend on the intentions or the motives. First. So effect will come accordingly.
Yeah, that is what I was asking, and you have answered that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. Pranam.
Pranam, Swamiji. Time is up. Thank you. Umesh bhai, the Puliranji, can you do 3 months? Umesh bhai, please follow.
Namo Vitragaya.
Namo Vitragaya.
Namo Arihantanam.
Namo Arihantanam.
Namo Siddhanam.
Namo Siddhanam.
Siddhanam.
Namo Ayariyanam.
Namo
Namo
Ayariyanam.
Ariyanam.
Namo Vasayanam.
Namo
Namo
Vazayanam.
Vazayanam.
Namo Loe Sawa Sahunam.
Namo
Namo
Loye
Loe
Sabva Sahunam.
Savasahunam.
Eso Panchanamukaro.
Eso
Eso
Panchanamukkaro.
Panchanamukkaro.
Svapavapanasano.
Savapavapanasano.
Manglanam Chasavesim.
Mangalanam cha Savesim.
Padmam Havai Mangalam.
Paramam
Brahmam
Havai
Havai Mangalam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai
Jai
Satchidanand.
Satchidanand. Pranam Swamiji.
Pranam.
Jai
Jai
Satchidanand.
Satchidanand.
Deepakaji,
Satchidanand.
next program.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand Swamiji.
Next program is 7:45. We have